All right, guys, welcome to the Investor Syndicate. We're just opening up the floor, really just sharing part of Brett Morgan's story as he's built a multi-million-dollar trucking company over the past several years. The way he put it together, struggles that he faced as an entrepreneur, and then fast forward his journey from trucking, looking to pull out some of the opportunity and money that he's built in that industry to start branching into the real estate investing market. So Brett, amazing to have you here today, my man.
Thanks, Ben. Glad to finally come down to meet you in person.
Yeah, man.
I've been watching your videos. I got in the Investor Syndicate, and I love it. I mean, it's just great stuff. And, you know, I was an employee about 7 or 8 years ago. I was working for a company. And, you know, my dad worked for the company for 25 years. And I saw them just screw them. You know, they were just screwing them. I said, well, if I stay here, they're going to do the same thing to me. Because my dad's been loyal to these people for 25 years. And they're going to stab him in the back. I said, I'm next on the list. So literally, I went out on a branch, started my own business, buried myself in debt, put it all out on the line. And it was hard. I mean, it was struggling. I'm talking, you know, it's 30 days, you know, 29 days the mortgage is due, and you're trying to, you know, just do everything you can to make out one payment to make sure you're not late on that credit report. And it was tough. It was a struggle. But through time, you know, things just seemed like, I wouldn't say they got easier. It's like that book by Donald Trump I read, Think Big and Kick Ass. Yeah. The harder you work, the luckier you get. And I just kept figuring that. It seemed like the harder I would work and I didn't want to do it, I'd be up in the middle of the night changing tires. I'd sleep 2 hours and I'd run up to Indianapolis and just go all day long. And I said, when's this going to pay off? You know, what's going to happen? And all of a sudden, you know, opportunities start happening. You know, guys start coming to you like, I used to go out and try to recruit drivers and do these things. Now they're knocking on my door like, hey, Brett, can I come work for you? I want to do what you do. I want to do what you do. So it's like, okay, you know, sure, I can happily show you guys. And it was a struggle. You know, I think it took me about 5 years to deposit $1 million in the bank. And then I think I did like 2.5 total in 7 years, basically gross sales, gross revenue. And it was the best thing I ever did. But as a truck driver, it's a hard job. It's stressful. You're sleeping in your truck. You're away from your family. You know, things happen. You break down on the side of the road. You got nothing. You know, you're just basically stranded. And it's like I keep an arsenal of tools with me now, just for the fact that it's like one can of starting fluid might save you thousands of dollars on a tow or stuff like, you know, just little stuff like that you wouldn't believe how it goes into. So I want to get, basically my body cannot physically, it's like being a ditch digger. You can't do it your whole entire life. Yes. You know, eventually your back's going to break. And then finally you get to the point where I'm able to like make little nest eggs. And boy, me and Andy, you know, we talked about the Bitcoin back in 2010, I think it was, or 2012, about $5. And we saw the St Gox exchange, and it went up. And at the time, you know, I was struggling. I didn't even have $100 to invest in something like that. I wish I would have, but I really didn't. So now I'm at the point now where I'm like, hey, I got to start taking this extra cash flow and making these little nest eggs, I call them, or like little treasures. Like I'll put it here and just see what happens with it. I'll put some here, just let's see where it goes. And then I'm trying to get into the real estate business, not much as like I'd say rentals or anything like that. But just to invest in things that are tangible. Yeah. You know, it could be anything. It could be like, you know, back when, you know, everybody was buying AR-15s, and then all of a sudden they started to put restrictions on them. The prices doubled. It's just like, you know, gold, or it's just like a dollar. You know, the dollar hasn't doubled its value. It's lost its value. Yeah. You know, so it's just like any little thing that you can see, it's just like the Bitcoin. You know, I put $980 into it, and I've already got $1,200 in 3 days, 3 or 4 days. And it's like, if I had $100,000, I could have ripped 25 grand right there.
Just like that.
And just like that. And it's just like, it's about having that money and having that cash flow to get things going.
Really is incredible, man. Just to watch that progression over time, right? So starting in the beginning, right? And I believe this is almost like a monumental part of success. I feel like most entrepreneurs journey into the space, right? And you're like, best intentions, you're putting in the work, you're hustling, right? But you're always hitting that opposition, right? Like it never fails. And I almost feel like it's God, it's the universe, really testing your continence to make sure that your spirit and your character is ready for that journey ahead, right? Because those lessons that you learn, even when you're just putting in the work, trying to just make that mortgage payment, like you're saying, right? It's stretching you to a point where you have no choice but to grow and adapt, right? And in this industry, it's adapt or die.
Right.
You gotta become a better version of yourself tomorrow, next year, 5 years later, if you expect to grow into that position, right? So I think really learning to extract those lessons, right, and really internalize, like, what am I learning through this process, right? And by doing so, it helps to unlock those next levels, if you will, in that stairway to success.
Well, it's like me and Andy, we love this speech by Art Williams, the Just Do It speech. Almost is almost the way of life for almost everybody. You're almost there. You almost made it. You're almost over the hump. It's like everybody, it's like, oh, I'm like almost there, man. I'm almost there. And it's like, that's how it always is. You're almost there. And that's how it will always be.
Yeah.
So just get used to almost being there, and then as it gets better, like you think you're there, but you're still just almost. And you just keep going. And what do?
Keep going.
You do it and do it and do it till the job gets done. And I listen to that speech, especially like when I'm having struggles or I'm down or whatever. I play that speech, and man, it takes my morale through the roof.
Yeah.
I could listen to it over and over, and I tell my buddies about it, and we'll send each other texts and stuff like that. And he said, "What do? You just do it. Be working on something like, oh man, I got to do this to the house, or my truck's broke down. Like, what do you do? What do? You just do it." I don't think it was Michael or Nike that got the slogan. I think they got it from Art Williams.
Yeah, straight up.
Yeah.
And you guys need to watch that video. For those of you watching the channel, we'll go ahead and post a link up top. Make sure that you do check that out after checking this full interview. Definitely don't want to miss that. So let's go into, obviously the journey into entrepreneurship, where it's taking you today. What do you feel like some of the biggest habits or daily routines that you've learned to implement in your life have helped to really propel you moving forward?
Well, I used to read a lot. I wish I would read more now. But 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Basically, you have to manage your time. And that's a big thing. If you're not managing your time, then you're not probably going to get anywhere. It's like, hey, if I want to be an investor, well, how much time are you reading on investing?
Yeah.
It's like investing. It's like, oh, I can just take $100 and then make yourself an investor. That's not how it works. You have to manage your time. So it's like, if you keep your calendars and you keep your goals and you say, hey, I want to read a book a month. And then every day you check yourself on that. And you say, I got to, 30 minutes every day I'm going to read. I'm going to pray every day, 30 minutes. I'm going to read, pray, and just basically, I would say meditate, but you try to take your mind to another level because there's so much junk in the world and all this stuff goes on, and then it's just like everything's just busy, chaos. So if you just can kind of clear your mind at the beginning, even when you're struggling and things are bad, it's just enough to get you through. And there's always, like I said, the harder you work, the luckier you're getting. You just get that little tiny break, and then there you go.
Yeah.
Then you're on to the next thing. So I would say management, and then management of your thoughts. There's, like I said, there's a lot of junk in the world. There's a lot of clickbaits and everything's just like, just get rid of that stuff. You almost have to have like a laser vision where you don't let things distract you.
Yeah.
Whether it be anything. I mean, a lot of things are like, my weakness is golf. So when I have to go play golf, it's like, I know I got to do some work. I go to the golf course. I love it. It's one of my weaknesses, but I have to know to manage my time. Like, hey, I got to do this first, then I'll go play golf or work on my golf and stuff like that, or I'll chip around the yard, or I'll putt on the carpet if I can't, obviously spend 4 hours playing golf that day. I'm just going to try to get a golf club in my hand and just to have it in my hand for 10 minutes.
But it's also therapeutic, right?
Yes.
Like talking about clearing your mind. And I'm glad you touched on that because I believe that that's probably one of the most important habits that I've learned to implement, right? Because we all have so much clutter and chaos. You got all the voices in the crowd, the negativity, the media, the news, just clouding your mind, right? And you don't realize how much this affects the way that you think, the way that you feel, the way that you operate, until you really feel what it's like on the other side where you can clear your mind, right? Or like daily habits of meditation and prayer. What is that doing? Well, it's just clearing out all the junk, right? All the yuck, all the disempowering thoughts, where you can really just start out each morning, each day on a clean slate, right? You would be amazed at how much clarity you have, right? And with clarity of mind, you can be more strategic, more planned out with your actions, right? Your goals.
Right.
And man, I'm telling you, there's a reason that some of the most highest producers in the world, Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey, whoever you want to name, they all meditate.
Yeah.
Right? It's Ray Dalio. They all tell you, man, like, and just connecting with your higher power, right?
That's
Connecting with
another
God.
thing. That's what they try to get you away from. There's a lot. Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill called it the Ethernet. Sometimes ideas just pop in your mind.
Yes.
And if you act on those ideas, boy, does it pay off. But if you don't, it goes to someone else, and you look like you'll see that like, oh man, that was my idea. I thought of that 2 years ago. No, look, now you see it on TV. Now you see it on a iPhone or whatever it is. It's like, man, that was my idea. That came into my mind, but since I didn't act on it, it went to someone else that would.
It's the power of the subconscious, right?
Exactly. It's your subconscious mind. You wouldn't believe there's a lot to that. And, and like you said, there's just so much junk and all that stuff in it. So you have to clear your mind. And trust me, like you think you got it bad or you got it worse, trust me, there's people that have a lot worse. We live in the greatest country, the richest country in the world. We have abundance of resources you wouldn't believe. I mean, for some reason, God blessed us to be born in the United States of America. He could have had us born in China or Mexico or somewhere else where they don't have these great opportunities that we have. So we have to take advantage of this and be a leader throughout the world because we're not doing that great of a job as a country. And the world thinks we were the leader of the free world. We brought the world everything. Every time you make a phone call, every time you click on the internet, that came from an American idea through, entrepreneurship and prosperity and freedom. People having their own, personal space and personal property. And a lot of the world doesn't have that. So if we don't grasp it now and really, appreciate what we have and take back our rights and what we have as a country, I mean, it's not good. Yeah. It's not good for, I wouldn't even say image, but it's just for the world itself, whole humanity.
Mm-hmm. Not only do you appear weaker in the global economy's eyes, right? Like, it's no surprise that Russia's invading Ukraine and everything else, right? Like, we won't go too deep into this, right? But I believe that just all the chaos and the media and everything else, right? The casualties, right? It's just been chaos from elections
threats of nuclear
forward.
War and all these things, and it's just like that's scary. But it's like we're still going to sit down here, we're still going to grind, we're still going to work, and we're still going to clear our mind and pray. And it's like we just can't let those things. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Yeah, not much we can do about it.
So we need to be guarded up, right? Because success is our duty and obligation. Leading our families, our communities, our friends, right? The people that are entrusted to us. That's our duty and our obligation. So in order to step out and be our best possible self, starts with investing in ourselves. Within, right? Like people want this get rich quick, microwave your way to success type of gig, right? But that's not how the world works. That's not how this journey works, right? You start investing in yourself. You fall in love with the process through simple daily routines and daily habits, and the success will eventually come, right?
There's always obstacles. Like there's always fiery hoops you got to jump through. Like when you think you got it done, it's just like, oh, there's always just one more thing, and you just got to keep doing it. Yeah. And if you give up, you lose. As long as you keep going at it, or you're just reading a page every day, as long as you're making the attempt, things are going to happen. Yeah. You're gonna get that break. You're gonna get that good luck.
So let's get strategic for a moment, right? Looking at the bigger picture with where the world's at, where the economy's at. Smart investors, smart entrepreneurs, they're not just playing checkers, right? They're playing a strategic game of chess. They're thinking 3 moves, 5 moves, 10 moves ahead, right? They're anticipating what's going to come next. So I like to look at the macro level of things and really see what's happening in the economy, right? So we look in this post-COVID era. COVID happens. World gets shut down. What do you know? Next thing you know, the government's printing out all kinds of free money, right? Stimulus checks, PPP loans, EIDL loans, small business loans. We all see that inflation is coming, right? The value of a dollar is losing its buying power, which is why we see a lot of these investors that are moving towards commodities, hard assets like real estate, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, right? Because again, US dollar is going to crap. So what we're doing as far as the real estate side, and really our goal with the whole investor syndicate community, right? We look for these opportunities. Real estate is a space where I really came up, right, and found that opportunity. And then cryptocurrency has been a monumental point of me parking some money and investing that, right? So looking across the entire country, right, and we'll map this out on the board. We got single family real estate, right? So traditionally, these big hedge funds, big institutions, which at the end of the day, they basically control the world, right? One percenters are smart and they pool money. So what did they do? COVID, free money. They basically created a suction cup to start sucking out money out of the economy, right? Well, Tom, Dick, and Harry and Mary Sue are collecting the stimulus checks and buying a bunch of Jordans and free stuff, cars, liabilities, right? So we're leaning in, right, and seeing this. Well, the hedge funds, pension funds, right, private investors come together, and they've traditionally invested in the stock market. Multifamily real estate was an investment vehicle, but single-family properties have never been a vehicle that these big pension funds would invest in, right, until recently. And so what COVID did was it just accelerated the growth of this, right? They were slowly infiltrating the market before, early 2020. But now it's just literally, it's 10x'd it. And I'll have to look into the statistics, but they're buying millions upon millions of houses every single year. And I saw a projection somewhere. I was at a mastermind event over the weekend. My buddy Ben Reel, who's huge, right, in this space, he was talking about how in the next 4 to 5 years, these institutions will literally own 25% of single family properties in the market, right? So if that's not terrifying, right, if that doesn't scare the crap out of people, I don't know what will.
Why do you think they're buying them?
Well, one, they're hedging against inflation,
Right.
but I believe it's a consolidation of wealth, right? So obviously cleaning house and controlling a piece of that real estate market is control, right? But if you even look at like small service-based industries, for example, Baker Auto Collision, right? Our buddies owned the biggest auto body shop in Colombia. They had 3 locations. This big institution, Gerber, bought them out, right? They made them an offer they could not refuse. Basically paid them more than the company was worth on the books, right? Next thing you know, John Harris Body Shop, the second largest auto body in Colombia. Gerber bought them out, right? So we see it across service industries like, HVAC companies, because guess what? The funds that own the properties need the service, so as long as you have a book of business and a well-running company, you got these Harvard, Yale grads that come out of college and they can analyze a spreadsheet at a high level, right, and just say, okay, this makes sense on paper, boom, let's buy it up. So we're seeing a consolidation of wealth, which that's pretty scary. Like that's kind of some of the first steps in communism, right?
Yeah.
Consolidate and control all the wealth, separate that, so we're experiencing the largest separation of wealth in human history. The rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer, right? So it's like, whoa, wake up, people, And
I can relate that to the same way with trucking. The big boys, they can cut rates. They can knock the little guy out all day long. They make these regulations. A lot of them are set by all the major corporations, large corporations,
and the government
in bed with them because they pay the taxes. They get deals on the licenses and all these things. And these diesel exhaust fluid, these soot things. They're supposed to DPF, call them diesel particulate filters. Just absolutely puts guys out of business. I mean, I can understand like you blow a piston or a turbo, stuff like that, but these guys are having these problems as a little guy. They buy a truck and they expect that truck to make $200,000 a year in gross sales. Well, when it's in the shop every month, because it shuts down for these things, and it's just like a control thing. And I've seen guys just go out of business buying these new trucks, and it's sad. It really is sad because they don't know any better. They're thinking they're buying a truck. They're going out on their own. They're going to do it, and then the government gets in there and basically controls it. And they can run the trucks because they build like you can't even go buy a brand new semi right now. I think it's like a 3-year wait because all the corporations have the contracts on lockdown. Same thing, probably the same thing with the housing.
I believe it's all by design. I mean, everything from C-19 coming into the economy, everything else, right? It's all by design. Entire system, right? But anyway, strategically, we see this happening, right? So we know, regardless, with or without our input or anything else, that this is happening. They're buying these houses, right? So us as investors, I'm reverse engineering this whole equation. Like, hey, where's the most amount of money being deployed, right? So we reverse engineer that, right? And we trace down like the top markets, so Atlanta, Jacksonville, Orlando, Tampa, right? Charlotte, these big metro areas that, again, these people that are looking at these spreadsheets on a high level and they've analyzed these markets and see them as the best projection for growth, well, they're just cleaning house. And in the past, as an investor, if I'm able to find a wholesale deal for 70% of market value, right? I know that's the buy point. That's where the investors, cash buyer, fix and flippers are going to be able to come in and enter that property to fix it up and bring it to value, right? Well, these freaking institutions, man, because they see what's coming, value of $1 is going to crap, are literally paying 100% plus in some markets, right? So literally, we're selling deals for, that's not 30%. Well, it's 30% more of the asset value, but if we're locking it up at say 65%, you're only making 5% of the spread out of that, right? Where you'd be making 35%.
Right.
So it's really it's changed the entire game, right? And yes, in a sense, you're feeding the beast, but you can't stop the beast, right?
Yeah.
So how do you at least pull out as much money and liquidity as you can out of their freaking system to at least position you, yourself, and your community to end up on the other side of that, right?
Well, you take it and you buy things that are tangible. Like I said, get into crypto, get into the hard land real estate, things that are worth more. Because like I said, as the value of the dollar just goes worse, they can buy a house at 100, they can buy it at 130%. It's a joke to them.
Yeah.
They don't care. They print the money. They make the money. It's like they can give 130%. We can't, but they're the big boys.
I'm glad you brought that up. So let's talk about printing the money and making the money. So if we really think about it, money's an illusion, right? Money's a faith-based system that we've been programmed to believe that it has monetary value, right? But ever since we've been off the gold standard, there's no backing to $1, right? They can print however much they want. And if you look at that on a little bit of a deeper level, well, hey, if we could just print the money, right, and control the way that people think and operate, we can train them to fit and work inside of our machine, right? Our businesses, our corporations, started back in the industrial age with the steel companies, right? So, hey, if we can convince these people to trade time for money, right? We'll just call it the 9 to 5. The 9 to 5, where they come up, they show at the factory, right? And
Right.
Even the school systems are set up like in the same kind of structure. Very structured. The bell rings at a certain time. Ding, 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 ding. Right? That came out of like the industrial factories. Oddly enough. Right? But the way, even since a very young age, we're taught, right, that you have to go to school, get an education so that you can work for someone else, work for a corporation, work for one of these gigantic companies. But the entire game is rigged. This system, right, which is passed down through the education model, we'll just say EDU, right, through public educations, and even gets worse into college, they're training you to be a freaking technician to work and fit inside of their system to make these fake dollars that really don't have any backing, any relevance whatsoever, right? So you're trading your work, your time, your energy to build the system, right? And it's this ecosystem that's been running and pumping for years and years and years and years, and we've accepted it because it is what it is. It's the way that the world works. However, now that we're seeing the information age really come in, right, with the rapid increase of technology and just blowing up across the board, well, information is now accessible to anybody that has a cell phone,
Right.
or a computer or internet access, right?
Across the world.
Across the entire world,
Right.
right? Where you can literally, anything that you want to learn, it's at your fingertips.
Remember
right?
when rich people only had cell phones?
Yes. So the gatekeepers, right, who are the corporations and the government, the global elites, who have always controlled industry, controlled the establishment as we know it. Well, the information age has broken down that gate, right? It's opened up the point of access for any individual to step into the system, right? To essentially infiltrate what's been protected for so long. Because they kept it a secret, right? They teach you high-level education, which, again, we need doctors, we need attorneys, we need engineers, right? You need those skill sets in order to build
A better world.
a better
Right.
world,
Right.
right? But aside from those niche, really in-depth careers, high-level type of thinking gigs, the whole system is set up for you to fit inside of this mold. We've been lied to, right?
It's like the Matrix.
It is the Matrix.
It's the Matrix.
Think of like a teacher, right? School teacher goes to 4 years of college, $100,000 in debt. We encourage them to do that. Get into college at 18 years old. Can't even buy alcohol at that point, right? Go to college, get a degree, because that's what you're supposed to do. Next thing you know, $100,000 in debt, making $35,000 per year.
Don't forget the interest on that too.
Plus interest, right?
Yeah, plus the interest.
Plus interest. And you're making $35,000 a year. What does it cost to live today? I mean, I guess obviously it's going to be different in every individual's case, but we'll just say a ballpark for medium income family, about $5,000, right?
Yeah, a month.
$5,000 for a mortgage.
Yeah.
Maybe $1,000 for food.
Got your car payment, insurance, gas, yada, entertainment, regular stuff.
So $5,000 to live. You multiply that times 12, and that's $60,000. That don't make sense. $60,000 to live, just to live. You're not saving any of that money. These numbers don't add up, right? The whole game is rigged.
Me and Andy, we talk about this called deprogramming. Like basically, when you come into high school, you have to learn how the world works. It was funny, Andy's car freak accident, somehow fuel line busted and the car burnt down, and he just paid. It was like $1,000 in insurance for this, just to have liability insurance. So he calls the insurance company and like, well, we're sorry. He's like, what do you mean you're sorry? I just paid you $1,000 for insurance, and my car burned down. Do I get anything? They're like, no. And it was the reality. This is how the world works. This is not. It's like everybody's happy-go-lucky. Things cost money, and you don't get anything for return. So you have to deprogram from the cog in the wheel. Hey, this is show up for work 9 to 5. Stop at this place. This basically being a part of the matrix. Just to go in, day out, shell. A lot of times people go to work, they don't even realize they're driving to work because they've just done it so many times and they hit the light so many times. And it's like sometimes you just get to work and you'll be like, what happened? Where was I? I didn't even know. My mind was just gone. But you become so used to it, it's become like you become like a computer or a robot. Yeah. And that, like you were saying, back to what the system tries to teach us. You had to deprogram from the system. I mean, these kids are coming out of high school making $100,000 rips on real estate and Bitcoin, and it's like, I'm going to hang out with those guys. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to go to 4 years of college, and that doesn't pay money. We're looking for results. We're looking for success, and results is money in your bank account or whatever type of money it is. And basically, a lot of people, they want stress-free life. They don't have to worry about money. That's the big thing. Everybody's worried about money. It's stress. It hurts, and it'll break people down. They say, evil is the root of all money. No, it's the ignorance of money is the root of evil, because you don't know how to operate it. It's easy to get, right? Yeah. It's easy for some people. It's really hard for some.
If you know the game.
If you know the game, right?
Yeah. This is crazy. In my mind, I'm like, how is this person ever get out of debt?
Never,
right? You constantly just revolving credit cards, right? More debt, and you become a slave to the system, right? It's modern day slavery.
Yep,
that's what it is. We won't park on that for too long, right? Because obviously, it's good to be aware of those things, right? And I think more people need to wake up. We need to wake up and see what's happening around us, right? But what we think about and what we focus on expands, right? So many people get caught up worried about their debt, right? It entangles them. They don't take time to meditate, clear their mind, like we talked about, but they just get so caught up in this vicious cycle where they can never move past that, right? So that's our goal, is to fill in that gap, right? How can we empower people with the tools that they need to win? How can we help people scale and escape out of that 9 to 5 life and show them the new age, the new tools that are accessible at our fingertips, right? Where we can come together as a community and help one another level up.
Absolutely.
That's where the Investor Syndicate was born.
Absolutely.
Right? So going from here, my mind spins, right? Because there's a lot of moving parts, right? And a lot of information that I'm working to pass down. And obviously I need to grow and stay one step ahead as well, so that we can deliver information along this journey so that we can help people scale. We can help give them the tools. So what we've really done inside the curriculum with Investor Syndicate, right? We got the real estate investing side, which really just shows people how to get out there, have quality conversations with motivated homeowners or sellers, make offers, right? Because if you're not making offers, you're not going to get any sales, right? So number one, let's get people talking to people so that they can make offers on houses, right? From there, crazy as it sounds, once you have a contract, right? This is your purchase agreement for this house, right? That puts you in a strategic position, right? So let's say the house is worth $100,000 just to keep the numbers even.
Right.
And if we're able to contract that just slightly below market value, let's just say 80% of that, right? And we just happen to have one of these institutions or hedge funds or just a normal cash buyer, or even if we want to keep it for ourselves, right? We're literally stepping into this deal at 80% of market value, where for anyone that's ever met with a financial advisor, right, and you're looking at like all the different investment vehicles, which by the way, I'm not a financial advisor. Real estate at the end of the day is the most steady and the most stable over time, right? And that's not even considering buying at a discount. This is considering people are buying at 100%, right? The way they're looking at those charts. So if you empowered somebody with the opportunity to find discounted deals, it could change their life, right?
Right.
But if you don't have any money up front, you got to figure out how to exit that deal and make quick money. So where I'm going with this contract alone gives you equitable interest in that property, right? From there, the exit strategy is all yours. You can wholesale that, right? Or assign your position in the contract for a fee. Let's say you had a cash buyer that'll pick it up for $95,000. Well, you just made $15,000 cash straight in the bank, where you could park that in another piece of property, Bitcoin, something else. Let's say that you closed 5 of these deals and you got some money sitting in the bank. Well, guess what? You can just pick that house up, keep it as a rental. You bought it at a discount. It's already cash flowing, right? And all of a sudden you got $1,200 a month cash flow coming in your pocket. You could take it down, hold it for a while and flip it, right? If you bought it at 80%, you could flip it off the rip. But why would we physically take down a property, flip it, assume the risk, borrow money, or use our own money to acquire this asset, right? Put $80,000 down, when we could make pretty much the same amount of money by wholesaling that house, never taking possession of it, and selling our position in the contract to one of these cash buyers, right?
Right.
It's strategic. And again, it's playing a game of chess. It's seeing where is the money being deployed, right? Let's reverse engineer that, right? Because how do we accomplish our goals? You got to know your target. So what are we aiming at, right? What are we trying to, like an archer with the bow, they got to know their target. Basketball player that's shooting the hoop, you know where you're shooting, right? You got to start in the end, start in the target, figure out where the capital's at, and we just reverse engineer that process. So that's the bigger, I guess, all-encompassing strategy as far as what we're doing with some of the real estate. But Brett's got a lot of different strategic angles to bring to this. Well, one, through his entrepreneurship journey and his trucking company, he's built up a good bit of capital. He's recently picked up some land back home, right?
Yeah, bought a 17-acre farm under a landowner contract, and it's already divided into 5 parcels, but it has a potential to be, if houses were built on it, it could be almost worth, if one house is worth $250,000, I could easily get 5 or 8 on there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 1.7 mil. I mean, I might have some money in building construction costs, taking some risks and stuff like that. But that's the risk that you take.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's another thing. Like if you don't have the money to invest, don't invest. Because you don't. It's like going to a casino. If you don't have $1,000 to gamble and then you walk away crying, it's like don't put your money in it. It's like I've got some money in Bitcoin and Ethereum and all that stuff. And if it goes to zero, well, that's just how it goes. I had that money just for investing, just to take the risk with it. And you can't be scared. Well, you like I say, you can't be scared, but like you said, you got to have a goal, and you have to be calculated, and you have to be precision to know what you want out of the deal. So when I bought that property, I said, I'm going to build houses on this, and I'm going to turn it into $1 million.
Yeah.
A hillside. Old rocky hillside. I'm going to turn it into $1 million. That's my goal.
And it started with a thought, right? Started with that thought inside of your mind, your imagination. This is what I want it to be, right?
Yeah.
Craziest thing, everything started in our mind. Everything around us. You look at all these skyscrapers, you look at the residential neighborhoods, the vehicle you're driving, like, think about how intricately built that engine is, right? It was all designed in here, right? Talking about the power of the mind. Like, holy cow. So Brett knows where he wants to go. He already has that goal in mind. He said, I'm going to turn this deal, this opportunity into $1 million. Let's talk about that deal. So you said it was seller financed.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about the terms in this. So it was seller financed.
Yeah.
Correct.
Landowner contract.
What was the total purchase price?
$86,000.
So $86K.
And I put 6 down, so I financed 80.
$6,000 down payment. And $80K finance. What's the term? How many years?
30 years or 12, like $828 a month.
Okay. 30 years. 12% interest.
Which is very high.
Monthly payments at what?
$828.
$828 per month. So, in Brett's mind, hey, I got a piece of real estate here that I believe is undervalued, right? Strategic location. You said it's real close to historic.
Yeah,
district.
it's actually on the hill that overlooks the river and the whole entire historic town.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
it's overlooking a river.
You can see from one bridge where it comes in to the other bridge. It's probably the best view of the historic town of Falmouth that you can get.
Cow.
So that's when I saw that. That's why I knew I had to buy it. Because I said, this is what people want. This is desirable.
Yeah.
Everybody who wants to go out and just look at a house or some woods, you can see the whole town. You hear the church bells. And
yeah.
It's just beautiful.
Wow.
It really is.
So at this point, right, he's got to line up, right, strategic contacts or find somebody somewhere in the local principalities that has experience building, right? Just go straight to a home builder, right? Talk with them like, hey, let's look at some of your spec homes or your custom design homes. I would assume in this position, you're going to want to go custom, building on the hills, right? But finding somebody that's already been there. Because that's, at the end of the day, we don't have to rewrite the playing book, right? When we can literally take the success of others, we can look and duplicate it for ourselves. I mean,
well, here's my plan. So here's the property like this, and the road goes up like here, and it's 5 plots. It's actually 5, 6, whatever acres. Well, since it's 5 separate deeds, I own all 5 of them. They're all under landowner contract. I was basically going to probably put a mobile home on a foundation right here. And as long as everything passes as far as the septic and perk and water and stuff like that, and get the electric in there, I'll probably have, 30 or 40 grand in that, okay? Well, I'm going to take that 30, let's say 40K to get that house built. I'm going to go to the bank and say, hey, I've got this piece of land right here. It's probably worth $100,000. So I'm going to take, say, hey, finance me for 100K. I go get rid of this,
Boom.
Scratch that, and look, I just got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 properties for free and clear. And then I can take that and use the land against that to build. I want to build the craftsman homes, the trade homes, and that was my goal. Like, this is what I saw, and that's why I want to do it. And this is my first real estate deal. Yeah. I mean, I've only bought one house. I'm a truck driver, but I want to, I want to get into different stuff, and this is exciting. It's fun. Yeah. I mean, it's I don't know. It's hard to describe, man. Yeah, I love it.
It gets your energy going, right? Gets you pumping. It's like new things, new ventures that make you come alive.
Yes, exactly. Right? I feel alive,
Yeah.
And it's driving a truck for 10 years and just putting up 1 million miles. It's not fun anymore.
It's wore you down.
It's wore me down. Exactly. It's worn me down to a nub.
And so you're realizing you need an exit strategy.
Yes.
Right? Just like we're looking at these houses, or Brett's looking at this land deal. Every opportunity that we step into, we need to be thinking with the end in mind. And that's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Begin with the end in mind. Right? Have your plan in place. Have an exit strategy. You can tell that he's well thought through. Like, hey, I see this as a strategic opportunity. If I can pick this land up. And that's got to be like straight out of Robert Kiyosaki's playbook, right? Buy a piece of land, subdivide it, or in this case, it's already subdivided. Boom, put a structure on one piece. Position yourself to get out of, this note or this loan.
Yeah, 12% at 30 years, and then it's paid for. Basically, it pays for itself, and you just take it from there. And but you have to be, $900 a month is a little steep or whatever. But I drive a truck that's 20 years old. I don't want to make a $500 or $600 car payment a month. I'd rather buy $500 or $600 in Bitcoin. I'd rather pay $800 or $900 on some property that's real and real estate, and I'll drive my old truck around because I know what the end of mine is. Just like when Kiyosaki, when his wife wanted a Porsche, well, she had to do strategic deals in real estate to create enough cash flow to make that monthly Porsche payment. And that's how you got to do things. It's a different mindset. It truly is. When you jump over the investor side, you have to think like rich people do. The 9 to 5 going into debt. It's like, I got debt, but guess what? The money's fake. So so's the debt. It doesn't bother me one bit. I could care less about the debt. I could care less about $80,000 debt. It's fake. It's all fake money. I can generate millions of dollars just like the rich people do. Off debt.
All at your disposal. You got the same tools, the same access right in front of you.
Yeah, and money is debt. That's all it is. So if you got debt or you think credit cards are bad or high levers, who cares? You got to give it. That's fake. It's not real. You have to use that money or use that debt to produce cash flow or to get the things that you want. Like you said, you have a point or goal where you got the end in mind, and it'll work. If you got a plan, it will work. I mean, there is living proof of everybody in the whole entire United States, rags to riches. Everybody's heard the story. That's why I got in the investor syndicate. I want to be an investor. I want to jump that side. ESBI. I'm tired of being an employee, the business owner. It's nice to I wouldn't say sit around and make money, but it's just nice not to have to worry about it. It's the one less thing you can live your life. You become alive when you start, getting control of your finances and controlling the money. And then you control your world around you, and you make it better. And you make it better for other people. So it works out good.
That's incredible. See, he's on it, right? Talk about leverage. He's talking about debt. Leverage can be your biggest friend, but if you use it in a negative way, it could also be an enemy, right? But learning to leverage your resources, right? So leverage could be debt, right? Strategic debt, right? Smart debt. Not talking about buying cars, right? Getting yourself in a bunch of debt with liabilities, but we'll just call it strategic debt, right? How can we leverage other people's money, OPM, in order to help build and support my dreams, right? I would say another leverage point to your point, network. I believe that networking is the most underrated skill in this game, right? When Warren Buffett said that your network is your net worth, that man spoke gold nuggets, right, straight out of his mouth. And so, again, your network, learn to get in the room with people that are a couple steps ahead of you, right? Learn to surround yourself with winners. I mean, that and know your superpower. Know what you're good at. Know your strengths, and stop trying to master things that you're not good at, right? Surround yourself with an inner circle, an accountability group that can help you grow, right? I mean, that's how winning is done. When you can surround yourself with, your attorneys, your developers, banker or private money lender, however you want to look at it. Why not become your own bank? Right, in the future.
There you go.
But find yourself an inner circle, find yourself a mentor, find yourself an accountability group, and I believe that's going to project you so much further than any other resource really could. That's incredible stuff, man. I'm excited to really
Man, I appreciate you having me down here. I love this stuff. We can do it all day long, but behind the plan, there's got to be action. So
has to be.
We got to go. We got to roll. We got to start, shaking hands and kissing babies.
Straight up. So get out there, guys. Take massive, imperfect action. Don't be afraid to fail. Get out there, make mistakes, learn from those lessons, and surround yourself with winners and people who have already reached the results that you're seeking. We'll see you guys on the other side.